It's all about a choice. And I really believe that everything in life comes down to choices. You choose how you act, you choose what you think, you choose what you believe, and you have to choose that it's important to you and prioritize it. I learned that I have an opportunity and a gift to lead other women in this same effort. And so that's where Sassy Healthy Fit comes from.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Schulman. I am the marketing chair of HIMSS Northern California. With me today, I am delighted to introduce Hallie Avolio. She is the founder of Sassy Healthy Fit, a very interesting organization that she founded and has a lot to share with us today. So, Hallie, welcome.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate your time and having me on today. This is really fantastic.
So, Hallie, one of the first questions we have is if you can describe for us a little bit about what self-care really means. Is it simply eating healthy and exercising, or is it more to it?
I personally believe that there's a lot more to it. And I actually have an entire article about this on my blog that says self-care is more than just bubble baths and getting a mani-pedi, which I know that oftentimes luxury experiences are what we associate with self-care. But my definition is that self-care is when you are acting in alignment with your core values. And what I mean by that is that you have to have a really deep understanding of who you are and really ask yourself some questions to have that radical self-acceptance to be able to practice the self-care that we need. And self-care might be something really unsexy, like doing the dishes. But example, I use this example all the time, and this is true for me. So if I have a cluttered house, particularly in my kitchen, I have 3 kids, there's 5 of us in my house, and a small kitchen. And if the kitchen is cluttered with dirty dishes, it makes me feel really anxious and makes me feel really uncomfortable. And I know that sometimes if I take the 5 to 10 minutes to do the dishes, it will help me get back into my centered space. It gives me a few minutes to be in my own head. Sometimes I put on music. So that's a time that I can practice self-care and still take care of things that have to get done around the house. And it allows me to be in alignment with values.
Fantastic. Would you advocate, how do you talk about self-care as not being about being selfish?
That is actually, if I could share with the audience, hopefully you guys can see this, but I have this Post-it. I didn't even prep for this. It was it's literally on my desktop computer. And I just wrote a whole post on this, that self-care is not selfish. So it is my deep that you cannot take care of anybody else if you don't take care of yourself first. We probably all know the analogy with the oxygen mask. You know, you get on a plane and they say you have to put on your oxygen mask first before you go to help anybody else. And that truly is self-care, because if I don't fill my own cup, there's 100% no way I can show up for my family, for my partner, for my friends, for my community, for my business, until I show up for myself. So I believe that we have to get rid of that old story, that narrative that said self-care is selfish. Maybe it is, but it's a good kind of selfish.
Thank you. That's great. I like that distinction between the two phrases. So I appreciate your sharing that. As a busy woman as you are, can you, taking out time for self-care can be difficult for a lot of people. How do you promote other people to do that? How do they take the time for themselves?
You have to commit. It's all about a choice. And I really believe that everything in life comes down to choices. You choose how you act, you choose what you think, you choose what you believe, and you have to choose that it's important to you and prioritize it. But it doesn't mean that you have to choose it to be something that consumes every part of your day. Maybe you can commit to 5 to 10 minutes first thing in the morning. Maybe you can commit to 15 minutes before you go to bed. Whatever feels good for you, that's what you need to do. And one of the things that I teach my clients and my community is I want them to think of self-care in ways that are simple, sustainable, and fun. And I live and die by this mantra: simple, sustainable, and fun. It's really, really important. So if this audience takes nothing else away from this conversation, I hope they take that. Because with self-care, if it's not simple, you're not going to do it. If it's not sustainable, it's not consistent, therefore you're not getting the benefit of it. And if it's not fun, then you're missing the whole point. So back to my doing the dishes example, yeah, doing the dishes, it's not super fun, but if I put on some music, then I dance a little bit while I'm doing the dishes, I'm making it fun. So it's just finding ways that you can create space in your day that's consistent, because if you don't do it consistently, you're not going to get the value of it.
Great, excellent. Are there any daily rituals that you swear by?
Yes, my morning routine, number one, each person has a circadian rhythm. And there are people that are more prone to being morning people and more others that are more prone to night. Totally good.
Mhm.
However, I do believe that the morning is the only time that you have to yourself to start your day. When you have that instant, that moment where you get to decide and you get to make those choices. So even if you are a night person and you practice your rituals in the evening or before bed, at least taking a few minutes in the morning to practice gratitude, maybe doing a brief meditation. I also like to journal. I exercise and I read for personal development. Those are the things I do in my morning routine.
Mhm.
And that does take about an hour and a half total. And that might not be for everybody. But I think that having these daily rituals, especially gratitude practice, journaling, and meditation, those are probably my top three for anybody that's really looking to make a shift towards self-care and learning how to prioritize themselves.
Excellent. Those are all great ideas. I want to ask you a question because this is something I've recently gone through. I experienced the loss of a loved one recently, and it's a difficult time. But what do you do to motivate others and yourself when you're going through these kinds of challenges?
Well, I want to first of all acknowledge just share my condolences with you and your family, and acknowledge that there's a lot of us going through hard times right now, notwithstanding COVID, number one. I know, Lori, you and I are both in California, and in Northern California, there's been tremendous fires over the last couple of months. It's been devastating for many people. The economy is in a state that can be very devastating for many families. Kids are out of school. There's a lot on our plates right now. There's a lot of pain that I believe we're all experiencing to one extent or another. And something that I was thinking deeply about yesterday and today when it comes to pain is that we have to feel it. We have to create space and compassion for ourselves to feel our pain, because it's really easy to numb our pain, to run away from it, to hide from it, to find ways to cover it up. But when we do that, we don't allow ourselves to go through the natural process of feeling that pain and learning what we need to know in our inner selves, our darkest sides of ourselves. And I believe that when we get comfortable being uncomfortable and we really allow ourselves to have compassion for that pain, then it allows us space to grow and to learn. So I think that there's a time and space for just feeling that pain and feeling uncomfortable and having the utmost grace and compassion with yourself. And then knowing who can you go to for support, whether it's a family or a friend, community like the one I have on your team that you can count on to share those thoughts and those concerns and say, I'm feeling really broken right now. I need support. And that's what I recommend for working through it, because you can try from it and hide from it all you want, but it's just going to come back tenfold.
Thank you for your insights on that. I think that's very helpful for me, and I hope that others who are listening will, get something out of this as well. I want to just switch gears a little bit. I'd love you to tell us a little bit more about Sassy Healthy Fit.
Sure. So my background actually is not in personal development or women's empowerment, but it's come to that, which I'm really thrilled about. And I have 3 kids, as I mentioned. So I've been raising children for the last 12 and a half years, which has been a huge part of my life and very transformative. And perhaps the biggest thing that I've learned in that transformation from going from a, mid to late 20s, single working individual to being a mom, I'm now 41, and, learning all the things that I've learned over the last 12 and a half years having kids, is that it's really critical to not lose who you are as a woman just because you have kids or just because you have a really high powered job. Whatever the other things are that you have in your life, you still have to stay true to yourself. So that was where the idea of Sassy Healthy Fit came from, was that I was in a place where I had lost myself and I had gone down a bad path, and I was nearly destroying my relationship with my husband, my children, and I was becoming very self-destructive because I didn't know what to do to find that passion and to find that zest for myself. And although I had to go through a difficult time, in rising up from that and learning what I learned about how to take care of myself and how to find positivity in myself and find my passion and purpose, I learned that I have an opportunity and a gift to lead other women in this same effort. And so that's where Sassy Healthy Fit comes from. And I do this by creating community. I lead women's circles. I offer workshops and teaching. I do some one-on-one work, but mostly group work. And it's just been an awesome exploration of how can I lead this group of women who are craving finding themselves in the mix of everything else that they have going on in their lives.
Thank you. Have you found that more people, since it's been a year of COVID and, all kinds of crazy,
right?
Do you say that more people are looking for these kinds of websites and for, just finding answers and how to find that new normal?
I believe so, especially because most of us are still, in some way quarantining or sheltering in place or staying at home and not going out very much, not being very social, not having a lot of in-person interaction with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel very grateful for the technology that allows us to come together. I know that in my community on Facebook, I have about 1,400 women that have all, that all come together and collaborate, talk to each other, support each other. They share these beautiful stories. And I think that it's been really heightened, especially during this time. And I keep track of all the women that come into the group that just find me online. And almost every single one of them says, I'm searching for groups for self-care and self-love. And I mean, I get many, many requests every single week. These women are looking for it. And they're looking for it because in isolation, in limited contact with others, I think that we're asking those questions of ourselves. Who are we? What do we want? What is my purpose? How can I take care of myself? How can I surround myself with other women who support me?
Fantastic. And keeping that positive vibe that you have, because you're so positive, and I love that about you. It's one of the things that you exude positiveness. What's your secret? Any words of wisdom to share?
I'm a Leo, so that's one. For any astrology people out there, Lori, I have always been a positive person. I think that that's just part of my nature. I'm a half, I'm a glass half full kind of gal, and I love to find the good in all situations because I love to smile. I love to laugh. I love to bring a smile to someone else's face. One of my greatest joys is if I can make somebody feel good about themselves, it lifts me up more than anything. And I think that that's just part of who I am and my nature. But I would also share that we all have an opportunity to be positive, even on the hardest days, even on those days when you want to curl in a ball and hide in a corner and forget everything around you. We all have the opportunity to be positive. It's just a matter of A, making the choice, and B, having the tools so that you know how to do that. And for me, one of the biggest ways that I do that is with affirmations. And I showed you my Post-it before, the self-care is not selfish. I have tons of Post-its with affirmations. I write them on my mirrors. I put them in my journal, and they're just constant, like, happy reminders to keep me focused on what is really important to me at my core.
Fantastic. Tell us what your website is.
Sure. Yeah. It's just sassyhealthy.fit. And there's probably about 150 blog articles on there. I also have a podcast called the Sassy AF Audio Experience that people can find on iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio, Stitcher. Those are some of the places. YouTube as well. And I do these morning motivation minutes that I post all over YouTube and social media. And they're just 1-minute blips of motivation every single Monday through Friday. And my intention with that is just to, again, create that positive energy, because the more positive energy you can put out there and you can create, the more you're going to get back.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Hallie, for joining us today. And I really appreciate getting to know you better. And thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.